Freedom Plaza here on Juneteenth Day. In the back of me is the Wilson Building. That's where they tell us our lawmakers are. That's where they tell us they're going to pass laws that are going to help our citizens. We're going to see about that. Greetings, I am Dr. Rhonda L. Hamilton. I am the president of the Healthy DCME Leadership Coalition. I am also the former 2022 mayoral DC candidate, and I am here today to help shed light on some very disheartening understandings on Juneteenth. Juneteenth, imagine, as our dear mayor and invites our city to Black Lives Matter Plaza on Juneteenth of all days, as Black lives are being lost daily on her watch and in this city. It is important that on this day we stand up and our voices resonate for causes that are not just affecting the citizens of the nation's capital, but citizens across this nation. I am joined today with some very, very esteemed and honorable folks. I'm joined by Reverend Ronald Wright of Justice Seekers, Texas. That's right, that's right. He's also the assistant director of the Dialysis Activists Association. He's also here with his director of the Dialysis Activists Association, Miss Arlene Muller, who we call the mother of the movement. That's right. We're also joined by Justin. We're also joined by a very brave soul, Justin. Thank you so very much. Justin Evans. And Justin has a powerful testimony today that I believe that many Washingtonians are going to be able to resonate and understand. Guys, as the president of the Healthy DCME Leadership Coalition, we spearhead outreach services every day in a city where we have tone deaf, yes, I said it, tone deaf legislators and lawmakers. We are 7 months out of an election, and Washingtonians are living still with matters of heart disease, cardiovascular conditions, asthma, and you would get asthma when you're living under slumlord conditions of rats and rat feces and mold and asbestos. And they tell us that there's another beautiful community sprouting up somewhere down the block or around the corner. Of course they are. Of course there would be new communities all over this grand city when we have a mayor concentrated on building up structures and not building up communities. Come on, somebody, and blow the whistle, why don't you? Today we're blowing the whistle. That's right. That's right. Let them hear you in Freedom Plaza on Juneteenth. President Biden signed a proclamation for this day that they would recommit to equity, justice. He said it. He said we get it. He said Juneteenth would be a representation of it, and yet we see little black and brown lives dying daily. How in the world can Black Lives matter when the guns keep going off, when the public safety policies are failing? What in the world is going on with the housing in this town? I got 84-year-old men living at bus stops while working with them in their system, their processes, for 2 years. And we can't house an 84-year-old senior. Oh, but we're cutting ribbons in Congress Heights because they said that the economic divide was so great that the white man in Washington, D.C. is making 81 times the wealth of a black family. So if we just cut a ribbon in Congress Heights, we'll even up the slate. Come on, somebody, and blow the whistle. What is wrong when you don't put the money in mental health resources, you don't deal or legislate in root cause understandings, and you ask the community, how do you deal with the crime? Come on. You do your job. Ladies and gentlemen behind me, today may be a holiday, but I promise you I want them to hear those whistles today. The next building behind us, the chairman of the council, Mr. Phil Mendelson, was on his knees looking at the mold, and he's the orchestrator of the Mold Act. Told those Ward 8 Southeast citizens he can't do anything to remove their landlord. Why? Why are Jewish landlords in Washington, D.C. allowed to be too big to be enforced? They're violating the Tenant Bill of Rights. Where is the OAG? Where are the civil charges? Who wants rent court? What is rent court going to do when you're living with mold and rat feces? What in the world has housing repairs got to do with your depressive state? Who do you have to be in this town to get justice? That's right, blow those whistles. Today we blow the whistles on this town. We are the nation's capital. We're supposed to be the example. Shame on us when they march lawmakers in there that look like you and I. And they dismiss the citizens' concerns. I got 79-year-olds living in shelters. Homelessness is supposed to be temporary. No one wants to live out their last days in a shelter. Come on, D.C. Where's the money? Where's the money, Mayor Bowser? Where's the money for our citizens? Folks, I'm telling you, we're living in some dangerous times when our citizens got to live in the street while they wait for housing. Where do they do that at? Department of Home, Health and Human Services would have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to call to ask, what can we do about a citizen who is minding their business, waiting on housing, conform to your process? I tell you what we can do about it. Give her a voucher. Unaccountable leadership is dangerous, it's deadly, it's killing our people, on top of cardiovascular issues, on top of diabetes. We got kidneys that are failing. Every one of us knows somebody that knows somebody that's got to go through a dialysis process. Are you meaning to tell me that on top of everything our citizens are going through, they also have to worry about failed dialysis process? What is going on in this town? They tell me that the corporate folk are setting up strategies on the backs of black and brown people. Nobody cares if we die, right?
Nobody cares.
They're telling me that governmental processes are so systemic in nature, it doesn't mind if it's got a revolving door, because we'll be back tomorrow. Blow those whistles on this nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Juneteenth. It is time that we use our power for good. It is time that we call out the nonsense. We are 7 months after an election, and black and brown families in this town are struggling. Low-income and marginalized citizens in this town are struggling. They go to sleep every night, waiting for this government to show up. Where are the housing vouchers? Where is the money? Mr. Phil Mendelson said he can't do anything about the slumlord that Woodbury Village families in Ward 8 Southeast are living with. He said he couldn't do anything. So why is he still in there? What do we need him for?
Vote him out! Vote him out! Vote him out! Vote him out!
Mr. Trayon White, Ward 8 council member, walking around talking about he's in the image of the great late Marion Barrier. Sit down, clown!
Vote him out! Vote him out! Vote him out! Vote him out! Vote him out!
If Marion Barrier, my mentor, came back today, he would have a fit and he would have all their heads. Stop this nonsense and take care of our citizens. Mr. Robert White wants to be mayor. Oh, but he can't hold a press conference when a whole community of black seniors and subsidized citizens ask him to come to their aid. Why didn't he do anything?
Vote him out. Vote him out.
His campaign was endorsed by the OAG. Oh, is that how they do it in this town? You gotta know somebody to get justice? Blow those whistles for that nonsense.
Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote them out. Vote them out. Vote them out.
But Miss Anita Barnes on the housing committee, what is she there for? Too many people sleeping in the street on her watch.
Vote them out. 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 Vote them out.
Look around you. Look around this beautiful nation's capital as they come before you, putting the media on lock, thinking that they would stop this message.
Vote them out. 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 Vote them out.
Somebody ought to tell our citizens about something called repeal and recall. Somebody ought to educate our citizens about the fact that they don't have to stay with this bad leadership for 4 years. Somebody ought to blow a whistle.
Vote them out. Vote them out. Vote them out. Vote them out.
Contract to the people. Get them out now.
Oh, you thought your cliques would keep this message away from our people. We've been looking for a napalm in this town. When you got less than 50% of your citizenship voting, it doesn't matter what part of your town is. They not with you.
Yes, right.
You got less than 50% representation, which means that you're not effective. They don't respect your leadership, and that's why the guns are going off. Did you think we wouldn't go outside of these borders and tell people about the atrocities accosting our people? Did you really think we'd let you keep this nonsense going on? The economic divide in this town is ridiculous. You can walk this nation's capital and see how visibly divided we are. You can see where the governing has happened. Go across the bridge past the stadiums and watch these communities that look the same. When I got leadership over there talking about they've been there 40 and 50 years. You're the reason that these folks are living like this.
Vote them out. Vote them out. Vote them out.
Guys, we are blowing the whistle today because across this great nation, low-income and marginalized families are being discriminated upon. They're being bullied. Who in the world wants to think about corporate processes when all you want to do is live?
That's right. That's right.
They won't even give us what we earn.
Tell them, baby. I want you to know that I am an advocate for the people. I am in this political race because our people's voice has to be heard. How many more houses can I walk into with the holes in the walls and the babies performing poorly in school and you on TV cutting ribbons like we prospering?
We won't
What in the world is going on?
Run that from there! Run that from there! Run down, run down! We won't run down! We won't run down! We won't run down now! Run down now!
Guys, the drug addiction in this town is unbelievable. The HIV rates in this town, unbelievable. We need leadership. We need empathy. We need accountability, and we need it now. Guys, today I brought all of my colleagues with me, my Healthy DC leaders, my esteemed guests from out of town, because there's something very serious, threatening, yet again, our black and brown races. And I want you to pay very special and close attention because this is going to impact someone you know, if not you. There's a reason why the Healthy DC and Me leadership 2 years ago on Juneteenth launched their Capital City Emergency Level 2 Trauma and Wellness Center. Why? Because we knew they didn't care about black and brown people. We knew we'd be here. 2 years later and the killings are still going. 2 years later and we don't have a handle on mental health. 2 years later we got the same dismissive leadership while our people perish. No more, not on our watch. Today on Juneteenth, we serve notice on the government of the nation's capital, led by Miss Muriel Bowser, that we're coming for you. We're waking our citizens up. thank you for indulging us today. We're bringing forward some powerful messages. So please go live on your social media. Please ask your social media to go live. We've got to get this word out. They're keeping us divided. They're keeping us from the voting polls. They're keeping us living in poverty. They're keeping us unhealthy. We can do this different. And I can promise you one thing. These guns in this city won't stop until you support our mothers and our families. And that's real. The unbalanced fight for justice in our marginalized community, it trudges on. And I'm bringing a beautiful, powerful speaker up. Sister Nia 2X with the National Action Network, whose work has been on display all across this nation for injustices that have been brought before our people. There's nothing no different when we hear about this dialysis crisis. When we hear we got to come, the baton has been passed. If you're living down and you're not standing up for justice, then what are you doing? Come on, Sister Nia. Let's go. Give her a round of applause.
Please keep your applause going for the future mayor. That's the kind of leadership that we need. One that is bold, mostly truthful, knows and has statistics, deals with the facts, has the humane position for people, regardless of what you look like, what you vote like, what you represent as far as your personal orientation, what your religion is. People, human beings. And this is the type of leadership that we have to pay attention to. I want to say thank you first and foremost to Almighty Allah God. I thank Him for allowing this day, Juneteenth, to be observed in such a very important message that is coming forth, especially from those that have traveled all the way from the state of Texas.
Yes.
I'm talking about Dallas, Texas. Yes. Anytime you get on a plane, train, or what have you, and you go that far to express yourself, you got something to say.
Yes.
You have something that deserves to be heard.
Yes.
And then as the Healthy DC and Me leadership, they are big on coalition.
Yes.
The unified effort of all of us. We may have a few differences, nothing wrong with that. We all have one God, one aim, and one enemy. And one of those enemies is right behind us in this district building. There's many of them in there. They have to go. They have to go. And we don't have to be violent. We can be non-violent in just striking a vote.
Yes.
And it was Sister Dr. Rhonda Hamilton that said 300,000 are not voting. So we've got groundwork to do. No justice.
No peace.
I said no justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Now we all know that on August the 26th of this calendar year, keep that unity unified. Because you'll have the Honorable Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton along with the Honorable Martin King III, and his wife Andrea, who runs the Drum Major Institute. Thousands of people are coming back to this city. Thousands coming back to Washington, D.C. for the continuation march. We all come together. It's not a commemoration. We know August the 28th, I got too many. We know August the 28th, 1963 was the great march on Washington from our great brother. He took a bullet to get the message out.
Yes.
But the movement continues. August the 26th, make sure you're here in D.C. to be represented, because we got to show them people, not only here, but down there on Pennsylvania Avenue. We've got to show those politicians that are making big money, and it's people like Dr. Rhonda Hamilton, people like Sister Jennifer Jalencia, people like Pastor White that are doing their work, and they getting the money. They're out in the street, boots on the ground, doing the work. The Honorable Reverend Sharpton, they're doing the work, and these people are laid back with their feet on the table and not giving a daggone about what is happening to the people.
That's
so
right.
your vote is important. We got work to do. We got groundwork to do. Don't go home and be all hyped up. Oh, we came out and, ooh, I heard, huh? Sister Yahida, we heard, oh, they were great. No, no. The work starts with you just getting one. So you know if you can get 10. Pastor Wright got 9, 10, whatever, coming from Texas. We got to do the work. We can win. If we couldn't win, why is Donald Trump not in the White House again?
Amen. Amen.
What did we do nonviolently to keep him out? We came together and we voted him out.
Right.
And for those that are Republicans, no shade on you. But it's a Democrat in here now, and it was from our votes. We've got to vote. Voting is not everything. I got that. But it sure is something. Because a lot of people lost their lives, lost their homes, lost their jobs, lost a lot, just so that we today could vote. And I'm going to wrap it up. Sister Dr. Rhonda said most of the people, I believe her message, part of it is they're apathetic because they didn't eat for 2 days. Do you think I'm thinking about voting? I haven't eaten in 2 weeks almost. I haven't had a bath in a month. So we got to be sympathetic, compassionate. If you're going to give somebody some charity, how dare you ask them, tell them, don't go spend it on no liquor. Don't do that. You don't know what they went through the night before. You don't know what rape they had. You don't know what happened to them. And maybe a glass of wine or something to chill them out from wanting to kill themselves. If you're going to give. If you're going to help, don't be putting your stipulations on it. Give. And that's how we're going to help them. Didn't Malcolm X turn his life around? These people out here today, they not homeless because they bums. A lot of the homeless people work. They work. They not homeless because they want to be homeless. There's a system behind me. And it's ruled by racism and white supremacy. And we're talking about dialysis today. We need to listen. The National Action Network, Greater DC chapter, wants to listen like we did over at the breakfast today, to learn, to research, to study, to know more, to be clear. When we come up to a microphone, we know what we're talking about.
Amen.
We don't have no doubt of what you're saying. We're just getting into the game there. Miss Mullen, she's been in it over 25 years. We've been in it less than 2 months, but we've been in it enough to know that the Greater DC chapter, Sister Rhonda Hamilton, you can count on us. We're going to be here. We're going to be here because we all come to the same mountaintop together. I thank you, and I thank all of y'all. Don't worry about the sun. Don't worry about the sun. We're soldiers. And we got the soldier, Sister Dr. Rhonda Hamilton, into that place right there. Time to clean house. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Keep those whistles going. Keep those applause going for the incomparable Sister Nia 2X with the National Action Network DC chapter. That's right. That's right. As Bishop Gray comes forward to represent the message regarding our returned citizen community, because we want you to know the atrocities happening across the city in terms of lack of resources and lack of accountability. But I want you to know on this Juneteenth, there are congressional lawmakers. There are congressional lawmakers asking and drawing legislation up to remove the allowance of slavery in the 13th Amendment. If we're still asking them to remove the allowance of slavery in the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen, we got work to do. Okay? The enslavement practices of corporate America, medical understandings, economical and governmental understandings are keeping an entire population of marginalized families and children down. And not on our watch is this okay. Please keep your whistles and your applause going for Bishop Gray as he comes forward.
So much for the opportunity to come out and speak to you, and I'm going to try to be loud as I can be, for my dehydration is heavy right now and it's impacted me just a little bit. And I'm also not going to use notes because I'm moved already by what's happening over the last several hours. And one of the things I want to talk about is the mistreatment and also the misleading information that comes from the returning citizens components of incarceration. As a person who have experienced incarceration myself, I know that being inside those cells, being inside those institutions, there's many of our men and even our women who's going through dialysis and going through treatments and not getting fair treatment. And here's how they're not getting it. Yes, they get a nurse or a doctor to come by and give them the shots or the treatments, but there's some misleading information that they don't get. And when they're ready to come home, they're thinking they're coming home from this wonderful program that's going to take care of them and that's going to have their back. But as Rhonda said a little earlier, that one of the main things that they're not coming home to is housing. They're not coming home to stable housing. And because of the lack of stable housing, how could their medical conditions be stable? How could they get medical help and services that's stable? When you talk about these clinics and these hospitals and these doctors who refuse to let you in because you have a tag on your name, because you've been an incarcerated man or a woman, how do you receive the services that you need in order to get the help that you need? So I want to just talk about for a hot second those men and women that I witness and I see every day. For 21 years, I wasn't a chump in prison. I did some time. You know what I'm saying? So when I was in there, there was a lot of men. I ain't going to one that was men and women, so we'll talk about the men one, right? So while I was in there, there was several men. There was two particular ones, right? One was my cellie, and he had to deal with this. Unfortunately, they told him he had about 5 to 10 years or 5 to 15 years, something like that. I don't have my numbers with me in this thing in his head right now, but it's 5 to 15 years that was the expectancy of being on a dialysis machine, right? In his 7th year, he was my cellie. In the 7th year, I began to see signs, mental, physical, engagements that was going on that said this man was preparing for death. He was preparing to die. And every day somebody would come in, whether it was a psychologist or whether it was a nurse, that says to him, oh, if you do this and you do that, you're going to have, matter of fact, when you get home, we got some more people. We're going to give you compassionate release and let you come home early. Well, compassionate release for him became to the hour of his death. They released him and let him go home in that hour. And in that hour, they didn't have a plan for him where he was going to live at. So he had to go to a shelter. And when he went to the shelter, there was so much chaotic stuff going on and so much other disease and other Second and D, which is a known HIV headquarters for homeless people. Y'all know my mouth driving. So what would happen was he went home to the shelter, laid up in there, missed appointment after appointment at dialysis. One is because the clinic didn't allow them to drive into the garage. They had to drive outside. He had to walk 3 blocks from his driving spot to his clinic because the clinic didn't allow you to go in the garage. Now, yes, we got clinics all around that got parking lots and garages, but it's some here in D.C. that you got to walk distances and go distances. Yeah, we got the buses and the metro transportation and things, but they got to wait on it. They got to wait to get qualified for the metro access. It takes them 3 and 4 months to get qualified for metro access. It takes them 3 and 4 months to even get an Uber ride from the insurance company.
Yeah.
So there is a mental issue that's going on with the man and woman that's receiving dialysis treatment because he don't know his time.
Yeah.
I asked the man the other day, I said, can you tell me your death date? He said, Bishop, I don't think that's fair. I don't think God tells us when our death dates are. I said, yes, you do. You know, God told you. He told you that you was going to die September the 13th and 2029. He said, no, Bishop, I think you got it wrong. God don't tell us when we're going to die. I said, no, man, you got to know. You got to know when you're going to die. Somebody stopped by and told you that you're going to die. I said, somebody told you that you're going to die on this day. He said, what do you mean? I told him, I said, if you don't know the day that you're going to die, Mike, this is what I told him. I said, if you don't know the day that you're going to die, and I'm telling this to you, if you don't know the day that's your expiration date, why do you live like you know you got time to take care of the things that you need to take care of? Why do you live like you got the time to have a rally next week and not today? Why do you realize that this mayor got some time? What time does she have? She ain't got no time.
She got no time. Her time is up.
This politician in office don't have no time.
No.
They need to take care of the people today, right now, in this moment. This is the time. This is the opportunity. I'm only shouting because my mouth is dry.
Go ahead.
But I want to thank you so much. This ain't a bishop thing that they passed me some water. I'm really dry. But I want you to know. I want you to know that felt good. Real good. So let me say this to you in the absence of my notes and where I was going. To be fair and transparent in this time for our returning citizens, we need to stop hearing the misleading information.
Right.
We need to get our Mike McGee's on the deck and get some statistics and some numbers and some directions and some know-hows and some avenues that we can go out and put our boots on the ground for real. I don't wear boots, but I wear some heavy tennis shoes and I'll wear some slip and slides that don't slip. They got taps on the front and the back. So I know when to pivot and move. I know how to about face. 11 years military. I know how to about face. That's right. About spin over there.
That's right.
But I'm thankful today that we have a network and a friendship of people that knows how we're hurting in this these dialysis situations. Every day, she's not here, but she's on the list to come to prayer breakfast because she was sick this morning. She couldn't make it. She's been now 8 years on dialysis, going to a dialysis clinic every day. And she said, I just got one question. If there is anything I can do besides go to dialysis, can you let me know? Because this dialysis going every day, they're taking away their lives. It's taking away their opportunity to go places. She said, Andre, can you please plan and promise me that you would take some time out to go to Ocean City this summer for a couple of days? And I looked at her and I said, but you can't go Monday and you can't go Wednesday and you can't go Friday. And we got to be back for these appointments and we got to be back for these treatments. And she said, well, I'm going to change my appointment to Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. And I said, then that's still 3 days. We can't get nothing done. She said, I'm going to miss one. And then she said, and I said, well, how about your, and she tell me every day about these numbers and the H this and the R this and the numbers over here and the numbers over there. And she can't eat this food and she can't eat that food. We've been promising to go, it's that way. We've been promised to go to Fogo de Chao for the last 2 months. But every time she say, oh, we'll go, she can't go because she can't eat nothing. You know, our citizens that's coming home from prison, they've been lied to. They're saying they got somewhere to go. They got somewhere to be in order to get the treatment they need. They can't even get insurance. Do you know in prison it raised about $40,000 for a 3-day treatment in prison for a person? They ain't even paying for them to eat hot dogs in prison. They won't give them mustard and ketchup and napkins and forks. So they know they ain't got the money to give them to do these treatments. I just want to make an acknowledgement and a statement that our men and women that's coming home from prison, they need us out here making a way. Right? Thank you so much for coming from Texas to help us bring a dialysis here in your team. We thank you so much for coming out here. We thank Rhonda Hamilton next mayor of Washington, D.C., 2026 candidate for Washington, D.C. mayor. We thank her for spearheading the operations that bring about knowledge and understanding to what it takes to raise a community and help a community. I know I ain't been 5 minutes. I'm going to get out at 4 and 20 seconds. Somebody say yeah. So, listen, I'm thankful for this hour. Dr. Wright, Reverend Wright, we're going to definitely stay connected and make this thing even blow up. Thank you, Dr. Rhonda Hamilton, all of you all for coming out here today. Thank you so much. God bless.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Come on, slavery must end. Slavery must end. Mr. Michael McGee, examining systemic trauma implications in our marginalized communities. Healthy DCME Leadership Coalition is so honored and blessed to have Mr. McGee on the trail, making sure that our trauma research is being spearheaded. Please pay attention. Thank you, Mike.
All right, how everybody doing out there? Come on, show me some love. How is everybody doing out there? I'd like to start off with us saying something. I want y'all to repeat this after me. Wake up, community.
Wake up, community.
Come on, let's say wake up, community.
Wake up, community.
My name is Michael McGee. I am a researcher for Healthy DCME. I'm also the researcher for DocLo, which is my own organization, which I just graduated from Bowie State University. Now, my research focus is on evaluating traumatic trauma, evaluating the traumatic stress that affects the psychological development of marginalized communities of color.
Come on.
And how the lack of community resources can affect the mental health outcomes, growth, and development through a multi-generational lens. So today, I'm here to bring attention to the traumatic stress associated with the broken medical system and the correlation it has on community mental health, especially in marginalized communities of color. I'm asking you today to wake up. Wake up and fight. Fight the Medicare fraud that is happening in our marginalized community. I'm asking you to wake up and fight. Fight the corporate kickbacks on the backs of our people. I want you to wake up and fight. Fight the unethical behavior like patient harm and death of family members due to lack of state and national regulators. So I have a question. When examining the implications of trauma in our communities, should we first review and change the health of the community and their resources? Or should we review and change the health of the individual within the community who needs the resources? The examination must involve both at the same time. The healing of the individual as well as the healing of the community. I think we have forgotten what community really means. Let me explain it to you. In African tradition, when a child is born, he or she is not just born to mom and dad. A child is born to the community. If the community shows love, protection, and healing, then that child will give back love, protection, and healing. Now, if that community fails that child, then that child will become a menace inside of the community.
Come on now.
Let me give you some numbers, since someone said I was a number person. Roughly out of 332 million people in the U.S., a third, 111 people, have reported symptoms of anxiety and major depression. Now let's bring this a little closer to home.
Come on. All right.
In Washington, D.C., who has over 671,000 people, 28.1% of the people has identified mental health conditions around anxiety and major depression.
Listen. Speak.
This is roughly a third of the population here inside of D.C. Now, with Maryland, our neighbors to the north, it is 29.1%. When it's in Virginia, our neighbor to the south, it is 28.6%. In this region alone, we are about to exceed the national average when it comes to dealing with mental health conditions such as anxiety and major depression.
Yes, tell them. Yes.
Now let's drill down just a little bit deeper. In my research on chronic kidney disease and mental health, I found that there are 3 major mental health conditions that correlates with the lack of dialysis care in our community. The first 2 has been spoken about, anxiety and major depression. These conditions can lead to the third, which is post-traumatic stress.
Come on now, PTSD, that's right.
These conditions can lead to the, in 2016, according to the National Kidney Foundation, roughly 500,000 people needed dialysis care. This number, not just 2 years later, increased by 3.8%.
Listen.
Which is 554,000 people who needed the care.
What's going on?
When reviewing the data from the CDC, government numbers person, the demographics that is disproportionately affected the most is our African-American mothers and grandmothers.
Absolutely.
The lifeline of our community.
That's right. If you wonder why the guns won't stop, our women aren't going to help.
Come on now. Why are these data points important? If we look through a multi-generational lens of healthcare and we travel back just a few generations, stay woke, my people, stay woke. We as a people have been exposed to the horrors of the medical system and the lack of access to appropriate health care.
Right.
And when we do have access to that services, those services are far and in between.
That's right.
May I say subpar, compared to the wealthier neighborhoods and communities, which in turn creates mental health conditions which we have spoken about. Now imagine that you are already having mental health symptoms caused by chronic kidney disease, and now due to the unethical behavior of the dialysis companies, you have been targeted, harassed, rejected, and blackballed from the services that are supposed to save your life. Now, place these subpar, unethical services in our communities, which are already been rejected, which we have already been targeted, which we have already been harassed, which we have already been blackballed. Now we are creating distrust in communities that are already distrusting.
Right. Come on, we're with you.
Stay woke, my people.
With you.
It is time to speak out against the corporate oppressors when it comes to the mental health of our people and in our community.
Yes.
And our family members. We are asking everyone to write their legislators.
Listen.
Request a meeting and an investigation into the corporate misbehaviors of the top dialysis companies who are creating the adverse mental health conditions on marginalized communities of color.
All right.
These companies of care are more concerned with profit sharing than saving human lives.
Yes.
This is a call to action.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
We must have accountability.
Absolutely.
On the local, the state, and the national levels.
Yes.
Let me say that again.
Yes, sir.
We must have accountability.
Yes.
On the local,
Yes.
the state,
Absolutely.
and the national level.
Oh, yes.
Healthcare in our community is not a partisan issue. Wake up, my people.
That's right. Wake up.
I need for you to stay woke.
Right.
Our lives depend on us.
Yes.
You know, I sat here and I wrote this, and what I thought about was I grew up in Southeast Anacostia.
Yes. Yes.
I thought about the difficulties that me and my family had growing up. I thought about when I had to go to the hospital and the hospital tried to turn me away. I thought about the food insecurities that was inside of my community. I thought about there was no hospital and I had to come all the way into D.C. just to go to a hospital. All the way here, in this area. Not in my area of Southeast Anacostia where there was no hospital.
That's right. That's right.
But in my areas coming all the way out this way.
That's right.
Outside of my neighborhood. Outside of my community. Outside of my people.
That's right.
I'm asking you today to stand up. There's something going on in the news right now that they're trying to fool you. They want you to stay asleep. Listen to that joke over in Florida who's saying woke this and woke that. Let me tell you, wake up and stay woke. Don't let nobody close you out. Don't let nobody close you down. Don't let nobody shut you out. Don't let nobody shut you down. Stay open, stay woke, and let's go ahead and do this thing because it needs to be done. Come on, Wanda. Let's do this thing, baby. Come on. Come on, stay woke.
Y'all don't understand. Give them your love. Give them your love. That's right. That's right. I think it's me, not me. Not me, but these wonderful, powerful leaders. Enough is enough. We served notice today. I got some facts for you. Not too long ago, 1960-ish, George Washington was turning our people away. They didn't care for us, but yet and still this mayor would put a $300 million new hospital that the people need, less than 100 and something beds that's already over in the ward, but would give them the keys to this and not make it a level 2 or level 1 trauma so that they could save that life on the spot with all that gun violence going on. Yeah, Healthy DC and me is building a standalone trauma center because we see the writing on the wall.
All right,
George
Rhonda.
W. told this mayor that if Howard University doctors were at the table, they were going to walk and walk they did. Don't you know she took her brown self over there and gave them the keys and sent Howard walking? You guys better pay attention. You better stay woke like Max said. There's a reason why we're out here today. We're here to serve notice that we're paying attention. Not on our watch. Blow those whistles. Guys, our senior populations are being priced out. You want to talk about concerns for health and health care? You want to talk about unbalanced governing? I want you to hear from a representative of our senior audience, very distinguished, educated man. Mr. Jehudi Tassetti, will you come forward and give the folks some knowledge for a sister?
With pleasure.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. We'll take a moment to thank Rhonda, Dr. Rhonda Hamilton, for having the energy, the courage, and the dedication to do this. You can't pull this off passively. You have to be very actively involved. You have to be definitely engaged. I'm an educator. I'm a speech pathologist, special educator. I taught French in PG County Public School System. I say all this because I'm a product, no, I'm a victim of the educational system in D.C. I did not graduate junior high school. I passed to the 10th grade, but I got 5 F's in French. And you heard me say I'm a French instructor.
Hello.
Somebody else's failure of you is not for yours to keep permanently.
That's right.
If you get knocked down 7 times, get up 8.
Amen.
That's right.
I taught public speaking with the Washington Saturday College. That's where I met my wife. Shortly after that, I stopped teaching her. No. But I want to say today, when I say I'm a victim of the educational system, my family moved to Cleveland, Ohio in 1955. That's a significant date. Do you know what occurred in 1955 other than Till murder? That was when the Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. I went to Cleveland, Ohio schools, beginning January of 1955. I was in the first grade. I had sisters who were in the third, fourth, and fifth grade. When we moved back to D.C. that fall, they put us all a grade back. Now, they usually do that when you come from the south to the north, but they did this in retaliation to the Brown versus the Board of Education. What once was all white schools were now integrated. Well, I should say, it wasn't integration. One group of people was submerged into the culture of other people. We would put a grade back, and that had an effect on my mental health, my physical health. Kids tease us, oh, you stayed back, you stayed back. But that did not discourage us. 6 of my mother's children all have advanced degrees.
Amen.
I should say my mother and father's children. Now, all that and other things going around during that time, when you didn't have the social media or ways to report things, we were victimized by the Metropolitan Police, not just here, but everywhere. Can you imagine walking in a neighborhood being attacked for no reason?
No reason.
Of course that doesn't happen today. That does not happen today.
Right on.
Things have got to change.
That's right.
I am 75 years young.
Right on.
And I'm blessed. I've had in the past 4 years, well, no, I've suffered with an ulcer for 32 years. It turned to cancer. From June to September of last year, I was in the emergency room for 7 times. I had 6 operations within 10 days. I'm still here.
Amen. Mission.
I was traumatized, but I'm still here, and I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
And even though I retired from teaching in 2009, it never retired.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
My education is not always an institution.
Right.
Right.
I'll meet young folks on the street, and education begins there.
Yep.
Yes. That's right. Yes.
Where you are.
Yes.
Yeah. I am glad that I'm learning.
Likewise, soldier.
I am a massage therapist.
Me too.
And there you go. So you know the benefits.
Yes, sir.
And what I'm telling the people need that type of
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
intervention.
That's right. That's right.
I used to run psychosocial groups. I'm about the last Renaissance man you'll see. I've done everything from producing TV shows to directing, fashion shows, coordinator, commentator, and model.
All right.
I have a lot to give to the youth
Yes.
Yeah.
and the adults.
Yes. Yes.
And so what I'm saying, this organization, Rhonda needs your support. So spread the word.
Yes.
One aim,
One goal.
one destiny,
That's right.
one love,
That's right.
one God.
Right.
Right.
All right.
That's right. Yes, that's our wisdom. Mr. Charles Brown, keep it coming, and Mr. Andre Keith, it's hot out here. Let's move it along. Come on, leaders. Come on. Charles is first, and then you, Andre. Guys, Charles is going to talk to you about DC's abandonment of sufficient systemic programs, oversights, and outcomes.
I'm Elder Charles Brown. I'm also a nurse practitioner in the district.
Yes.
And I'm here to let y'all know that We got to do better. It can't be business as usual. Can y'all hear me?
Right. No,
it's
no.
not, yeah, it's not business. Right. It's not business as usual.
That's right.
We have to make change. And it starts with back here.
Yeah.
Right.
We have council members that don't even show up for council meetings.
That's right.
How are you representing the community when you don't show up for the meetings?
Yes.
That's right.
I have seen firsthand where monies are allocated for funding for homelessness, for medications for citizens that are disenfranchised, that is not being allocated down to them.
Yes.
It's being put in pockets for nonprofits that have been pimping out communities for the longest.
That's it.
Okay, and then continue to pimp our citizens as well as our seniors.
You better speak.
They have a department in the district for the Department of Aging that don't even do anything really for the seniors that are here.
Come on now.
I have a senior citizen in my building, and she has to move because she can't afford the rents that they trying to do on her, and they keep giving her a song and dance about stabilized rent control and stuff like that. It's just
sounds good.
bad.
Yes.
Right.
Sounds good.
Yes. And when you want a fixed income, you can't afford $3,000 for a one-bedroom apartment.
No.
You know, so there's a lot of things that are misallocated when it comes to the medications, when it comes to health care and all that things.
That's right.
And it's time for us to do better.
That's
It's
right.
time for us to do better. Even when it comes to people who be in the crime violence and things that are out here, when they come into the hospital, if you ain't got good health care and if you ain't on Medicaid and stuff, they won't even see you.
That's right.
They can't even
That's
give you a
right.
pill. They won't even
That's
give you
right.
anything. They will make you wait because you're not backed by any kind of insurance programs or third party
They
insurance.
ain't making no money on you.
They're not.
They don't want you.
That's it.
Yes, the whole thing about reimbursement when it comes to HIV treatment and things to that nature, it's a game that they continue to pimp our people of black and brown communities, and we need change.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Stop.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
Blow those whistles for Mr.
Yes.
Charles. It's not easy to get up here and call out to government. Not everybody's willing to run for it. Not everybody's in for all this. But when you can stop and show the commitment,
Yes.
enough is enough. And it's going to
Very
take
good.
all of us. Come on, Mr. Andre Keith. Talk to us, why don't you? Talk to us about rescuing our discouraged voters. Boy, we got a lot of them. That's right. Blow that whistle.
When you see something, say something. The exercise of voting is our voice for change and a better life.
That's right.
We should never close our mouths to any form of injustice. I'm concerned here in the District of Columbia,
Why is that?
our nation's capital, the centerpiece of the world.
Yep.
We're getting complacent with our powerful right to vote. Whether we face the injustice of a mayor's annual budget that significantly cut programs and benefits our community depends on to support our very existence, that should be a call to action. Whether we face the injustice of significant government-imposed rent increases in a city where most residents in recent years have fallen below the poverty line
That's right. Tell them.
more than ever before, that should be a call to action.
That's right.
Whether we face the injustice of inadequate, unfair, and abuse in the treatment of dialysis patients, one of our most vulnerable communities, this, ladies and gentlemen, should be a call to action.
Yes.
Whether we face the injustice of an increase in homelessness, while this city's housing authority has been ripped apart from inside out by the very officials charged with handling its administration.
That's right. That's
I
right.
say to you, this should be a call to action.
That's right.
Now, what is this call to action? We must seek out those who have been disillusioned, disappointed, devastated, and discouraged by the current policies of Mayor Bowser and some of the members who sit on this D.C. Council. We must engage that population who have been misguided, misinformed, misunderstood, misused, and mysteriously misled by the misfeasance of the leadership of the District of Columbia City government officials.
That's
We
right.
must rid ourselves of this form of leadership. We must rid ourselves of these kinds of leaders. Let us rid ourselves of a mayor, a council chair, and council members who speak with a loud, confident voice, doing nothing. Let us commit to rallying together
Yes.
from every sector of our city and to bring our voters together for positive change
Yes.
with new, uncompromising leadership for our beloved nation's capital. It's time to stand up
Yes.
to a city's government that's leading us in the wrong direction and redirecting our paths with leaders who have the knowledge, the compassion,
Yes.
and the anointing to change the course to a brighter hope for all of these voters.
Yes.
Let us choose leaders who are uncompromising in their stance to good government and true to their conviction for devoted service to all the citizens of this city. As I stand here before you, and to my right, the statue of the late, great Marion Barry,
That's right. That's right.
Washington,
Recognize,
D.C. City
recognize,
Mayor.
recognize.
Washington, D.C.'s mayor for life.
That's right. For life.
Remember, I say remember, we make up this city. I am D.C.
That's right.
You are D.C.
That's right.
And
That's
we
right.
can make a difference.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Come on up here, Angel. Come on up here and talk about how we going to unify this community. Come on up here and talk about what bad government does to a community. Hey, blow those whistles. It's a blow the whistle rally. We're tired of this nonsense. We serving notice on Juneteenth. Tired of this lopsided government. Let's go.
Well, I ain't had my purple pill today.
That's right. That's right.
We talk about the government. I come down on the church leaders,
Come on.
pimping people. I think it's so. I will speak too.
Come on, let's go.
We're supposed to be the salt of the earth, but I see some as substitute salt. They'll come out for free prayer breakfasts. They'll come out for photo ops. But when we ask them to come out and get involved with the community, we can't find them. Look at it today.
Amen.
Look at it today. Where they at?
Big truth.
It's time out.
Call them out.
I'm tired of them hurting.
That's right.
See, church hurt is real.
Yes.
They say we a hospital, but we are infecting folks because we don't understand.
Right.
See, I'm a firm believer in collaborative partners. If I don't know something, then I'm going to get you the help you need.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
We need to learn first to start relationship building.
Right.
See, when you deal with relationship building, then there's trust.
Yes.
Ministry is more than just Bible study, prayer, and doing sermons. It's 24/7.
Amen.
We got to come out these walls. I'm out in these walls with Ron, out in the street with Rhonda.
That's right.
It's 24/7.
All right.
That's right.
Sometimes you got to deny yourself to help somebody else.
Right.
We want things to change in the political world, and we got to come out in the community. Because quiet is kept. The power is in our hands.
That's right.
We got to protect our families. See, we don't have to report anything. See, that's why the Catholic Church is so powerful. Because they done got the secret to it. If you study your history, the government came to the leaders of the church because they stopped and stuff, and then they put them together. And that's why we got some of the mess we got. Because we got sellouts. Sellouts. Do you know how effective we could be if we would stand together?
That's right. That's right.
I can help you with this. Reverend Wright can help you with something else. Keith can help you with something else. Fish can help you with something else. The word says there's one body with many parts. Learn what your part of the body is. We
when you learn what your part of the body is, then it becomes effective.
That's it. Tell the truth.
I don't care if you don't like me, I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm a Ward 8, baby. I lived in D.C. all of my life, so I got to invest it. See, I was one of them ones that made it out, but I go back and get somebody else. I ain't here to impress nobody. I'm tired of my people dying. And it ain't even about color. See, I done had the opportunity to travel around. Community mean everybody that's in there. And the one thing I learned being on the campaign trail with Rhonda is happening in Ward 1 and 2 too. See, the government wants to divide us. But if we would all just stand together, spirit don't have no color.
Right on. So true.
Spirit don't have no color.
That's right.
Stop looking at your sister and brother and passing judgment. Do you know some of the most powerful people are the ones that we look at and frown on? I'm a little upset because while I was standing here, I met a brother. It's real. But I'm here to tell you, baby, you're better than your diagnosis.
All right now. Read it. Read it. Read it.
You can be used, baby.
That's right.
But we so busy looking at the package.
That's right.
I ain't got time for playing around to tell you. I tell her I don't do a lot of meetings.
Right on.
I'm a doer.
Right.
After 2 meetings, that's it. You either gonna do something or get the hell out the way.
Hello. Vote her in. Vote her in. Oh,
vote Rhonda in. Vote Rhonda in. Hey. Vote Rhonda in. Hey. Vote Rhonda in. She ain't no sellout.
All right.
I'm gonna get all my feelings out medical right now.
All right.
Ward 8 always gonna show up to the party. There ain't no party till Ward 8 in this house. Hey. Show our folks from out of town how we doing here in the nation's capital. Blow those whistles for my right hand. That's right. Come on to this mic, Pastor Turner, and keep this going. We blowing a whistle on this systemic fraud, this systemic nonsense, on these health care practices that would leave our people without the care they need. Shame on them to think that we would stay quiet. Not today, not on our watch.
Not today, Rhonda, not today.
All right.
All right, boost on the
It's hard to
ground.
come up behind that. Okay, well, I live in Baltimore, and I don't see much difference. I don't see much difference between what's going on here and what's going on over there.
Right.
We got a sorry mayor, we got sorry city council.
That's right.
And they're robbing the poor, they're stealing from the rich. Stealing from the poor and giving to the rich.
Right.
Johns Hopkins don't pay no taxes and nothing. And no. And so with shootings and murders and all that, because folks don't have anything to do, they have no outlet. And so I came to support Rhonda, who I met some time ago, and I just believed in what she was doing, because if you can stop systemic racism, if you can stop the gentrification, which is a planned act all around Baltimore, all around D.C., you got to stop it somewhere. Now, although I live there, I still have worked here.
Right.
And my first job out of high school was working for the government. I can't say where it was, but it had initials. But my point is that we had to leave Baltimore to come to D.C. to get a fair wage, thanks to Mayor Marion Barry.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's who built up these black people and built the community. And I knew about stuff before that was disclosed that we didn't know anything about.
That's right.
And so I have, when I actually suffered from kidney disease, and in 2020 I didn't know my life would change and flip all the way upside down. And they were not nice to me. They were not respectful. They were nasty, to be quite frank.
Right.
Because when you're used to, I call it going, when I go to dialysis, I call it going to the chop shop. Like in New York, where they chop cars, they sell parts. That's where they try to make you feel. And they try to tell you and talk down to you and be disrespectful. I saw that my bill was $4,000 a quarter. $4,000. And I wondered, what are you doing? I don't see that you're doing that much.
Right.
And whatnot. So they said, and they always try to get you to come back. If you miss a session like I'm missing today, can you come back the next day? I'm like, well, no, I can't come back. I got a life.
Yeah.
And it's not wrapped in this. It's not my job. And so she said, well, you can't come back tomorrow, which was on a Tuesday. I said, no, I can't. I said, she said, for 4,000, if I came in here butt naked, it should be okay. Anyway, and I'm not going to do that. So I've had to fight to get into dialysis, because when I called them out, I would always call and say I'm not going to be in, like I'm not here today. And I wanted RNs to try to kick me out, said, go to the hospital. Don't come back here. Most people are placid and domesticated that I see who are actually in dialysis. They just follow along and do whatever they told to do. I ain't like that. I said, I'm coming in there, and nobody gonna stop me, because I'll tear that place up. You understand that?
All right, yes, sir.
So then I've had to try to fight to stay in, because they orchestrated the doctors to work with the nurses to say, Mr. Turner, your blood pressure is so high, you got to go to the emergency room. I just came out of the hospital. Ain't nothing like waking up. You went to sleep in dialysis, and you wake up, and you're in the hospital. You don't know how you got there. You don't even know where you are. No one's telling you nothing. I've even had a stroke in 2021. Why did I have the stroke? Because the nurses, who were supposed to be so professional, didn't know what they were doing. And one, I guess she had a thing for me because I wrote her up. And so I heard when I became unconscious and unresponsive, is a fancy word to use, that she just stood there and watched me.
Wow.
I said, oh! So when I found out about it, we had a meeting. I said in front of all the staff, yeah, so her job was she hated me so much for writing her up that she was going to stand there and watch me die. Is that how you train them? Yeah. I said it to the management staff, the higher-ups, because if you try to kill me, then I don't care nothing about you.
Right.
Okay?
That's it.
Now, my background is law enforcement. Law enforcement, the first job, law enforcement, Baltimore City. My employer tried to kill me down there, and now I got the help company trying to kill me up here.
Wow.
So why not get involved with what Rhonda's talking about?
Yes, right.
Why not deal with corporate gangsters? Why not deal with folks who don't care about the color of my skin?
Right.
Why not? Speak up, because I should have been dead in 2020. Right. Should have been dead in 2021.
Listen.
My access got infected in 2022. I had pneumonia, and they kept me in the hospital 17 days. Because the hospitals are also wrapped up in this too. And so, because I didn't let them put a catheter in my neck, they let me sit there and suffer.
Wow.
What a mighty
9 days without dialysis. I sat there for 9 days. I said it. And I called my friend and said, these niggas are trying to kill me. What are they trying to do? But
what a mighty God.
Still worked. I should be here now, talking to you now. But the goodness of God. And God put me with Rhonda, another warrior, and Justin, my friend, who we've talked to each other on the phone, and my family. You my family. My uncle. Ronald Wright. My auntie. Arlene, I tell you, I love you. Because without your love, I would get no love nowhere else. Without your love, it wouldn't work. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's not easy to get in front of folks and tell your testimony. Not easy calling out the government and systemic fraud. Come on, Mr. Justin. Come on up and help them understand your story. Guys, this is a brave testimony. We're out here today to blow the whistle and to educate ourselves about what's going on in the world of dialysis. We're going down to Congress in September because we are going to be taking a stand for the injustices going on in our hometown and also across the nation. So today, on Juneteenth, we're joining with our leaders across the nation as we bring our citizens knowledge, because too many citizens in Washington, D.C. are struggling with dialysis and failed kidney realities. The last thing they need, on top of the poverty and the slumlord realities and the lack of homelessness, the last thing they need is to have dialysis processes that are not going to work for them. We've got to call it out, and we've got to make sure our local leaders understand that we're not willing to keep taking second-rate care and second-rate governing. Come on, Justin, will you speak for us, please? No? Oh, come on, Marcel, will you speak, please? Guys, Reverend Ronald Wright, CEO of Justice Seekers Texas, has brought his team in today to join our press conference because just like us here in the nation's capital, they're fed up with the systemic nonsense that stops today. We call it out, we come together, we get everybody in our communities voting and talking and speaking up. No more.
So, good afternoon. I know that we're all out here. Many people in that building are familiar with me. My name is Marcel Reed. I'm here today to speak on behalf of whistleblowers and whistleblowing. The reason why is I talk about something now called death by zip. The number one indicator. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I think I know about this by now. The number one reason that your lifespan will be shorter is directly connected to your zip code. It is not because you have been negligent in taking care of yourself, because the rule is always to blame the victim and to make the victim feel bad. Okay. If you don't have access to good food, if you don't have access to adequate health care, if you're living in subhuman conditions, if you're a victim because you live there and everyone thinks that if they see you running, you stole something, and the only answer to that is if they can't outrun you, is to outshoot you. You will not live as long. One more of the things they add to that is dialysis, kidney disease. Why does kidney disease target our communities? It's not because we're weaker. It's not because you're not as healthy as other people. It's because you don't have access to the things that will keep you well. Right. If you say these things in public, you are deemed a rabble-rouser. Yes. And when they spiral it up, they call you a whistleblower. Yes. It is exactly the same thing. Yes. Whistleblowers are people who see wrong and dare to speak about it. That's right. At great personal risk. Okay? You are not a disgruntled employee who, after they quit, remembers, and oh, by the way, I did participate in poisoning 100,000 people, but it was after my pension was set that I decided to say something. Yeah. It is a person that says something in the middle of an event that could cause some great personal harm. That's right. I always tell people, when you talk about rabble-rousing, when you talk about you don't like whistleblowers, when you talk about all the trouble they cause you, always go back and remember that every Sunday you go to church to do what? To honor a whistleblower. He did all what? Right. That's right. Okay. To honor a whistleblower. So instead of being shamed and sidelined and made to feel like you are a rabble-rouser, like what you're saying doesn't count, every Sunday that you go to church, you're going to church to honor somebody who went into the temple and turned over the tables. When you speak truth, you turn over the table.
Yes. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You cannot do this
Yes.
and know why you're doing it. You're doing it because by blowing the whistle, by daring to tell the truth, you challenge everything.
Yes.
Everything. Every institution and everything that harms people.
Yes.
And if you're not willing to do that, you don't understand what whistleblowing is. They've twisted this into something where you blow the whistle and you get paid, and people misunderstand this. You can blow the whistle just like Christ did and died.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
Blowing the whistle is what you do when you cannot take any more pain and dishonesty. It is the ultimate proof that you will stand up. Join us at the Whistleblower Summit this year.
Yes.
It's on Capitol Hill.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay?
Yes.
It's at the National Press Club.
Awesome.
And we are there to do the ultimate act, which is speak truth to power.
Yes.
To speak truth to power without looking to be paid in any way, because
Yes.
it is a call to conscience.
Yes. Speak, Marcel. Speak. That's right.
Thank you.
Blow those whistles. That's right. Blow those whistles. All right. Arlene, are you going to come and say a few words for us? Yes. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, please give her a heartfelt welcome. They've traveled a long way. This is the mother of the movement. Long before we woke up to this, long before we were aware of this, she's been standing in the gap. So honored because it's affecting our communities, and wouldn't you know it, it would take such a beautiful soul to help us understand what we're going through and what we need to know. God bless you for standing in the gap for so many people that don't look like you, but you must have a human heart, and that's why we're here today, because we're all in this together. Thank you so much.
I'm not a professional speaker, but I love the microphone. Basically what has happened is I worked in these units, and I came from a laboratory, and I saw things that ethically and morally wasn't about healthcare anymore. It was strictly about profit. To my mouth? Yes. Do I have to? Okay. So in other words, what I saw was patients being mistreated, patients who did not get what they needed, one size fits all. You cannot just change because it's an assembly line. It's like a Jiffy Lube. And it's not, they took away, see what happened was 75, the U.S. Congress passed a law that all people, every citizen gets dialysis and the government will pay for it. What has happened is the ones that the government paid for, I even have in writing from one of them, if someone is just Medicare, Medicaid, if they don't have a star on their chart, you treat the ones with the stars better. So, in other words, it was passed in 78, but now what's happening is they're charging patients because they're stealing them away from the program. Also, the training is, I can hire any one of you, and you are given a needle. You are told how to do a machine, take them on, take them off. The for-profits, they are immune from the Stark Law because in 1975 Congress passed that every patient has the right. Well, they went into business together. So when I say business, each patient is worth to the medical doctor. They're sold for $100,000 per patient.
Wow. Wow.
And yes, and the cheaper the care, I noticed that we had on and off kits, the cheapest supplies that anyone would use. Everyone had the same, we had K1, K2, K3, because your potassium is really important. And what do? They knocked it down to K2 only. Now let's take lab work and not keep it fresh. You know, just send it out to Tennessee and let's wait a week until we get the results back. Well, it's so blood and patients are dying. And we are the third highest in the mortality rate in the world.
Wow.
And the doctors and the for-profit are in business. Warren Buffett, I would love to talk to him, owns the majority of DaVita. DaVita doesn't feel like they have to honor any of the laws. They blocked me from advocating unless I came in person. This needs to be done because if a patient dies, I have terrible, terrible stories after 25 years. There's a problem. I'm working with civil rights. I was told to get 100 of my cases randomly and count how many were a minority. 91 out of the 100 were minorities. 9 were Caucasian. I have patients who were refused in the hospitals because they want them out. It's not about health care. And I'm going to let Reverend Wright talk about the rest.
That's awesome. Come on and blow those whistles.
Yeah, good job.
Listen, when somebody shows up and tells you about selling patients to doctors for $100,000, understanding that that was the wrong thing, and speak up, we got to support them, guys. Blow those whistles. I know it's hot. Blow those whistles. This is about us. Did you hear what she said? Only 9 out of the 100 patients were not African American or brown in nature, minority community. That's right, that's right. I want you to know that there are some very, very brave souls dealing with this as you're hearing. I want you to understand that it is not easy to come before us. Our community can be one of the most chastising communities when we're not educated or when we just don't care. Well, who else is going to care about our children and our people if we don't? Come forward, Justin, would you please, and help them to understand your testimony. And please listen and think about all the Justins walking through this nation's capital. Think about how they need your support. When you know better, you're supposed to do better. Somebody better say okay.
All right, all right. Take your time. Take your time.
So I know we've been out here a while, so I'm not going to be long, but what I'm going to say is very, very important, because people like me every day is dying. In fact, in October of this year, I died, you know. I died for 2 days, and before that, I came to them and I told them that I wasn't feeling my left hand. I went to the same doctor that put the graft in my arm, which was supposed to be a fistula, in 2018. Had to cut it out when I was at death's door because it got infected, and they told me they were sorry. So when I told them that my left hand wasn't working and I wasn't receiving full blood flow to the heart, they said there was nothing that they can do. It's called Steele syndrome. It's $50,000, and they weren't going to pay it. But because Dr. Perry put this wrong tube in my arm, he ballooned my arm, which I still have problems, which was $6,000. So again, like Ms. Marcel said, we're just a meal ticket. They don't care about us, and it's all about money. I have not had insurance as a disabled person for the last 2 years.
Wow.
Again, I say, I have not had disability for 2 years. I get out of dialysis and I go and I cut lawns. I do landscaping because I don't have enough money to pay my bills. Somebody here said $3,000 for a 1-bedroom. My mortgage is $3,000. And I set myself up, and I've been working through this situation to do it. So I will not lose my home. I will not lose my life, and I will not lose my sanctity and myself through this. We talk about Jesus Christ. And I understand. He was a black man and he spoke the truth.
Right?
So I had to accept what I'm going to get for speaking the truth. And guess what? I will. I will, because this started before me. I am a man from Mississippi. So I have been doing this for a long time. I come here from my ancestors. You will not do this. You will see me and you will see my God. That's it. That's all. I'm taking Justin Charles Evans out of it. And Jesus Christ the evangelist is here.
Yes, let's wake up. Come on, guys. The reason why we're here today is because there is injustice in our communities, and we've heard about that before. What are we going to do about it is what I'm asking you. Are you going with us to Congress in September? Are you going to show up in September? Or will this just be something else that you leave on the wayside and go back to the normalcy of what is low living, low standards, no health care, death every day, and them controlling the narrative? Come on now, buildings are going up all around. Why are our citizens living like this? Ask yourself, does everybody you know and touch vote? Because that's the only way we coming out of this is to hold them accountable. Did you hear that, young man? Did you hear his testimony? And still he fights. Come on, D.C., we got 300,000 citizens that are not engaged. One by one, block by block, big mama by big mama. Let's put these communities back together and send this leadership home. You know what recall and repeal is? I need you back in your communities teaching them. It's no longer okay to stand on the sideline. Boy, in the nation's capital, we got so many sideline professors. Where are my voters at? Huh? Let's take our power back and take our narrative back. The Honorable Reverend Wright has come all this way, sat in this sun, heard all your testimonies, and still he's motivated to come out here and stand with the Healthy DCME Leadership Coalition, with the National Action Network, and Sister Nia 2X, to stand with the Healthy DC leaders and to let you know that enough is enough. You're not by yourself, DC. Let's go this Juneteenth. Let's fight for our citizens and what belongs to us all. Come on, Reverend Wright, and let them know what it is and tell them what time of day it is.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to keep us long, because I know y'all are frying. But I'm going to make a couple of comments, and then I'm going to get on the dialysis, which came. And I thank my eye doctor for allowing me to see, because I couldn't see. I broke my glasses. But I want to let you know it is very important that we do vote. And that is important. Until we come together as a people, we're going to continue to struggle. And I want you all to understand that. So you do need to get out there and vote. And when you tell them to vote, it don't matter if you Democrat or Republican. I'm not a Democrat either. I created my own party. I'm a victocrat. I've been victimized by both parties. But the God I serve says, victory is mine, Bishop. Do you hear me? So you can tell the devil to get thee behind me. And so that's what we need to focus on. I am the Assistant Executive Director of the Dallas Advocate Association, and my sister Arlene there, she's my sister. We got a different mother, but we got the same father. His name is God. Oh, y'all didn't hear me. And we are here today to inform America that the mistreatment of those that are taking dialysis must stop. I'm going to need y'all, this has been happening to me ever since I've been in y'all city. What is the name of the hospital here in Washington?
George Washington Hospital.
This is the scam call. Hold on. George Washington VD Clinic, can I help you? George Washington VD Clinic. Okay. They've been calling me ever since I've been here. It's a spam call. And that'll stop them from calling, and y'all can use that. But I'm sorry, Paul, but I'm sorry. But back to what we're talking about. We're here to inform this country that we need to stop what has been going on to people that help build this country.
Yes.
Do you hear me? And that's the thing that we are here all about, and it's sad that we're continuing to struggle with what we are going through. And DeVita in the Dialysis Association, they have mistreated people, and like Arlene was telling you, there are over 600,000 people in America that is on dialysis. And can you imagine what the highest population of those people race is? It's African American.
That's right.
And that's why we're being experimented.
That's right.
And we've got questions this morning for the President of this United States and for Warren Buffett, and we want to ask them and educate them as why is it that certain people can get kidneys and certain people can't. I shared the story with you about the young man in Philadelphia who they put him on a blacklist and had him driving 60 miles out of the city to go to dialysis.
That's right.
Because he complained, like Minister Turner did, about how they were treating him. And so they put him on a blacklist, and he had to drive out, and I don't know if y'all know it now, but dialysis people have to have it 3 times a week. So can you imagine driving 60 miles out of the city just to get dialysis? And that young man thought he was going to lose. He said, I'm going to end up losing my job. What is going to happen to me? He's not going to even be able to pay a $300 a month, let alone $3,000 that y'all are going through down here. But Arlene stepped in, and she stepped in to take up for him.
Yeah,
Arlene. And when Arlene called me, and when she called me, I said, Arlene, let's call the Medical Association in Philadelphia and see what is going on. And when we called, Arlene explained to them, and they were shocked that she knew what she was talking about. But they were very, very rude. And so when Reverend Turner said they are very rude and mistreating, that's true. They don't care. And so after Arlene talked to him, I said, okay, time out, let me take over now. And when I got through and turned their head off, we hung the phone up. And I love telling this story because it was unbelievable. And a week later, Arlene called me, and she sounded kind of sad at first. And I said, did the young man die? And she said, no, Reb, he didn't die. They brought him back into the city. I said, well, Arlene, it sound like you're crying. What's going on? She said, guess what, Reb? I said, what? They gave him a kidney.
Oh, yes.
So why is it that we have to fight for something that everybody else is getting? And then why is the dialysis centers only in a certain community and certain communities they're not in? And so until we come together and be a voice and open our mouths and stand up to what has been going on with us as a black people. And I want to let you know something. America has the lowest, as far as health concern, for people on dialysis in this entire world. If you live in Germany, if you live in Russia, you might live 3 or 4 more years than the people in America. And the same thing with China. So how is it that the dialysis center and the other little companies, what's the name of it, Arlene? Presidious.
Come on, Rev.
Come together and make $50 billion.
That's right.
$50 billion. And the United States Medical Board can't tell them that what they're doing is wrong. So we're going to reach out to your president, and like I said, to Warren Buffett, and we're going to demand a meeting. Because we're going to start asking the question, why is it there's disparity, how people who are Americans in this country, who have built this country, our ancestors did, are being treated bad. And I just want to let you know that we are not, because we don't control the media, we thank God for Paul and all this group. They don't want this told. A young lady said something about our preachers, because I didn't see but a couple of them out here. But I want you to know that God made some just went preachers too.
That's right.
He said there was some I called, some I sent, some just went. And so, because you got a lot of just went preachers, that's going to happen. Do you understand me? But the church is in you.
Amen.
And so long as you standing up and fighting, we're going to forever be strong. And I want to let you know, like I said, the 600,000 that looks like us, little do y'all know that when they do take care of them, those that are practicing are the ones that work on you. That are not trained. Let me rephrase that. Those that are being trained is the ones that are working on you.
That's right.
And also, I want to let you know another disparity. If you got, don't think all blacks is being treated bad, because if you got a top dollar insurance company where they get a lot of money, they're going to treat them very well. But if you're on Medicaid or Medicare, you can kiss the baby, because they're going to have them trainers training on you. So why can't we as minorities, like I asked, get kidneys like everyone else. And there's been a history since we've been fighting of people who have been waiting 7 and 8 years for kidneys. And the object of the game is that they die before they get the kidney.
But they can grow those in labs.
But other races are getting the kidneys. There's one particular race that's getting kidneys every time, and that's why there are no dialysis centers there. So many black people have lost loved ones, never knowing that it appeared that they were probably not being treated right, clinically wise. So as a people, as we stand up and come together and open our mouths, and not just open our mouths, actions speak louder than words, and start taking action, we're going to make a difference in everything that's going on. So we want to inform all of the minority Americans in this country as to what has been going on. And I'm not going to keep you long. I don't want to pass the offering tree around. I just want to let you know that we're going to stand up and fight for this. And as we come together here to celebrate Juneteenth, and I know a lot of y'all want that 40 acres of mule. I just want 5 in a Mercedes. I don't want to, if I get that. We will be representing every person in the United States, and we're reaching out to each state because we're going to need a member to be a member or a part of our Dallas African Association. And as we come together and stand, by the grace of God, we're going to make a difference. But until we stand up, and like again, I told you our theme song is wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed, no more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Let's get together and think ahead and stop this. God bless you all.
That is the Honorable Reverend Ronald Wright fighting a good fight all the way from Texas, Justice Seekers, Texas, guys, and the Dialysis Activists Association. I want you to know that this fight still goes on. Today was a kickoff. Guys, this Juneteenth, there are many marginalized families that are living with low standards in their health care, low standards in their economics, and low standards in their resource and housing abilities. Hold on.
I want to thank Sister Rhonda for what she has done, and I forgot to say that I want to thank you very much. But I also want to share the reason why they don't do transplants, the doctor just told me, is because if they give you a kidney, they can't make no money.
Now, swallow that, why don't you? How's that the end of blow the whistle press conference? You're not worthy enough to get a kidney because they can't make enough money off you. Come on, somebody, and blow those whistles. Come on, somebody, and blow those whistles. MITV.FYI. 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 Go there. Sign up. Join the rally to Congress. This is just getting started. I'm running in 2026, and I don't have time to play with all of that dead energy across the street. We got 300,000 voters we got to reach, and I need your help. They can't handle this dialysis stuff because they can't handle our housing. They can't handle the mental health. They're not handling the drugs. We got an acting director at the Department of Health. They need help, and they need us. Blow those whistles at the count of 3. I thank you all for coming out. Guys, go home. Don't let this information sit. MITV.FYI has the stream for today's event. I will post it to the website so you can send everybody you know. MITV.FYI. I am Dr. Rhonda Hamilton with the Healthy DCME Leadership Coalition. I am the 2026 intending to be mayoral candidate. Will you stand with me, DC? Will you help me take this message across DC? 1, 2, 3, blow those whistles! Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I am Dr. Rondell Hamilton. I am DC, and I do approve this message. You guys get home safely. All right.